Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Talia Gottlieb. I'm the community social worker of the Chevra Kadisha. As this is our only second talk in our new building, I would like to welcome those who have not been here yet. Welcome to the David Lapati Center, which aims to create a space for all community members and a home for future events just like this one. Tonight's talk is part of our Enrich program, which is a series of talks that happen every month on different topics that are important in our community. In tonight's talk, we will explore what narcissistic abuse is and how to remove yourself from or manage unhealthy relationships. This talk falls under a bigger campaign that we are currently running based on the globally recognized 16 Days of Activism. The 25th of November each year marks the beginning of this 16 Days of Activism campaign, which aims to challenge abuse against women and children. Abuse is typically linked to violence. However, it is understood that abuse is emotional and psychological as well as violence. Narcissistic abuse is less physically dangerous, but no less emotionally devastating. This is our belief of our speaker tonight, Sue Hickey. Sue is a psychologist and an expert in abusive relationships who has worked in, she is an expert in abusive relationships, and she has worked in private practice for 35 years. She is an author of a number of books, especially about the topics of abuse. Her most famous book is When Loving Him Hurts. We hope you find tonight's talk informative, practical, impactful, and empowering. On your chairs, you will see a pamphlet with the details of several organizations that assist with domestic violence and child abuse, including Jewish Community Services. We will leave time at the end for questions. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Talia. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? We're good. Okay. I'm going to, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for being here. There's so many people, I can't believe it, that you all came out on a Sunday night to learn something new is just really impressive. So thank you for being here, and I do hope that it's helpful for all of you. I feel like I'd like it to be quite a casual approach. So if there is a question and you feel like you're going to forget, sometimes we feel like we have questions and maybe it will be covered and maybe it won't. Just put your hand up and ask. So we can turn this into a conversation rather than a lecture. So just as I say, feel free to add something, to ask something, or just to contribute anything you'd like. Okay, so I'm here to speak about narcissistic abuse. But I want to explain, first of all, what narcissism is. So the word narcissism comes from the Greek myth on Narcissus. So I'm not sure whether Narcissus was a man or a god, but we have a Narcissus. His name was Narcissus, and he was a very handsome young man and arrogant and scornful. So when women fell in love with Narcissus, he would be unkind to them. And as a result, Narcissus was cursed. And the idea is that he would love himself the way other people had loved him. So of course Narcissus had no idea that he was cursed. He set off on his journey of life, and he went past a lake and caught sight of himself, a reflection of himself in this lake. And he was so besotted with himself that he couldn't move on. He couldn't leave the lake. He couldn't have a life, essentially. He couldn't have an adventure. He couldn't explore. He couldn't learn. He was literally obsessed with the sight of himself, to the point that he did not journey, and ultimately he drowned in his effort to get closer and closer to the vision of himself. He drowned, and where he drowned was where the flower, Narcissus, began to grow. So what narcissism is essentially is, and we're going to write the characteristics down, this is not a difficult condition to understand. In essence, narcissism is obsessive self-love. To the point, you can write that, to the point that there is no, we're all able to love more than one person. We love our children, we love our partners, We love our friends. Love doesn't demand, it isn't an obsession. An obsessive love makes no space for anybody else. So narcissists struggle with obsessive self-love. So I want you to understand that self-love is not in itself a bad thing. A self-esteem is born of a certain amount of self-love. An obsessive, pathological self-love is something altogether different. The second thing that narcissists have is that they have delusions of grandeur. And everything about them is better. Do you understand that they truly believe that they are better than the rest of us mere mortals? They don't have a rationale that goes with this. It's just a deep belief that they are better than us. What they have done is grander. What they think is smarter. Their insights are more exciting than ours. They have delusions of grandeur. And the other thing that they have is that they have a complete absence of empathy. Now, again, I want you to understand that narcissism is an extreme of something. Its pathology lies in the fact that it's too much. So some of us are natural empaths. If you tell us a story, we naturally respond to the emotional component of it. Not everybody is. There are natural problem solvers. There are natural fixers. There are people, not everybody has the same level of empathy. But we have some empathy. Basically, an adult personality has the ability to see the same situation from someone else's point of view and feel for them even if they don't agree. The narcissist has zero capacity for empathy. Zero. But, yes.
Is it a mental illness or is it genetic?
Right. It's not genetic. So, and it's also not, and it doesn't have a genetic component to it at all. It also doesn't have a physiological component. So, for example, depression has a physiological component. So does psychosis. Narcissism has no physiological component. There is no medication that is going to fix it. So it falls under what we call personality disorders. And a personality disorder is, psychiatry uses the word intractable. I think it's a kind version of incurable. So psychiatry is not going to go so far as to say they're incurable. I'm telling you that they pretty much are incurable. So the word is intractable, meaning that it doesn't respond, it doesn't change easily. It's not a behavior that you're going to be able to modify. It's not going to respond to a medication.
Is it a learned behavior?
We don't know. So we're going to get to that. So we have no idea. It doesn't run, it's not a same-sex transmission, it's not a family, it's not none of those things. It is more, I'll be with you now, it is more prevalent in men than in women. It doesn't have a huge percentage. There are only about the average, and again, we have a problem with psychiatry in that the average will be 6%, and then we think maybe it has been undiagnosed and it's higher. But I want to tell you that narcissism is now trending. And I have a problem with that. It's trending. So, sorry, you wanted to ask a question.
You might have covered it later, but
It's okay.
The difference between narcissistic personality disorder and a narcissist.
Yes, thank you. That's
Are you covering
that's
that?
where I'm going right now. Yes.
There's covert and overt, according to the trend. I think there's covert and overt.
there's also vulnerable and arrogant. So if we're trending, we start making these. So most narcissists are covert narcissists until you get to know them. So if I can just say to you that, understand one thing, the narcissist, if we were to go through these personality traits, obsessive self-love, delusions of grandeur, and an absence of empathy, tell me who wants to date this? No one. Huh? No, yeah, that's right. Other than himself. Who wants this guy? No one. But narcissists are actually very attractive people because they need your applause. They don't have relationships. They have a fan club. We clap. That's what they want. In order to make us clap, in order to make us like them, in order to give them the very air they breathe, they have to be charming. They have to be attractive. Otherwise, no one is clapping. There are no fans. So your narcissist, on first sight, is a very attractive person. They're agreeable. They are talkative. They contribute to conversations. They have adventures. They understand how you feel. Do you understand? They are exploiting you. They need you to clap. They need you to like them. So, are they covert? Yes, because we do like them. We go, what a nice guy, so interesting. We're being exploited. He doesn't think we're nice, he thinks we're inferior. But we're clapping. So then we get to the next thing, is that the narcissist they get bored easily. So, can you just write boredom, easily bored. So now what happens when you meet the narcissist is that they swoop you into this aura of being impressed. Not only are they impressed with themselves, but they're now impressed with you. They have selected you from the group. They will tell you how gorgeous you are, how they noticed you the moment they walked in the door. You will be love-bombed by these people. You will be swept up. It feels like a stardom. So the first red flag is post-mortem of any social arrangement. Everyone other than the two of you will be rubbish on the way home. The two of you will be fabulous. Everyone else will be criticized, and they will be inferior. That is the first red flag, is other people are no good. But you don't really notice it because you're part of the star group. Us, we are special. We are magical. We are a cut above. And then in the same way that you can start off with the narcissist, you can do no wrong. You are beautiful. You are always intelligent. I must tell you that's one of the big compliments. Everyone that the narcissist likes is always intelligent. Always. It's important to them. Because, of course, if you're intelligent and you're with them, you've done well, haven't you? You've chosen them because you're intelligent. So you're intelligent always. Big red flag for me when someone's first thing is that they're intelligent.
What if you are intelligent?
Huh?
What if you are intelligent and they say that?
It's really not such a great compliment. Intelligence is, people usually put that third or fourth in a line.
So the flag is if it's first.
It's always first with them. And if they forget, they'll go attractive and intelligent loudly. It's always part of it. You will then go from being able to do nothing wrong the narcissist will get bored and you will be able to do nothing right. Nothing. No. They are as verbal in their disdain for you as they were in their compliments for you. So they are in the same way that they were very enthusiastic. You know, sometimes people are a bit quiet. You know, you think someone's really nice, and you kind of say it quietly over. Not them. They love bomb you. And when they're tired of you, everything you do, including how you breathe, is not right. You breathe loudly, you breathe irregularly, they don't like how you walk, they don't like how you talk, they don't like anything about you. The narcissist will not leave you until he has a replacement. It is not socially convenient for him to be single. It isn't easy. So despite the fact that you can do nothing right, he will not leave you, but he is searching for a replacement. So narcissists are very commonly serial womanizers. Yes. Oh, sorry. It doesn't suit them to be single. Understand that. Yes.
Are there also different levels of narcissism?
Right. So now I want to say, why is narcissism trending? Because what's happening at the moment is every other person, every unfortunate personality is now being called a narcissist. So I want to say to you that I'm having a problem with the fact that it's trending. So the question is, do you get a real deal narcissist, as in a personality disorder, intractable, or do you get unfortunate personalities who are now being called narcissists? So I'm saying that, to answer your question, yes. I think that certain things are going on that is making narcissism trendy. The first of them is social media. So social media has made us boastful. We go onto Facebook, onto Instagram, and we need to show how my whatever it is better than yours. My phone is better, my house is better, my holiday is better, it's all better than yours. So we have become a boastful society. And so I think what's happening is we are encouraging certain streaks, shall we say, certain personality traits that I don't believe are intractable. I think that they are becoming more and more popular because of the kind of environment we live in. It is no longer embarrassing to be boastful. It used to be an embarrassing thing to talk about how much money you have. Now, everyone wants to talk about how much money they have, particularly if they've got it. So we've become boastful. We want to tell you what our cars cost. We look up what other people's cars cost. We have become different, and so we are breeding certain characteristics. Let's go for basic self-esteem, because understand that your narcissist has what we all want, a very, very good self-esteem. Don't let them tell you that they've got an underlying poor self-esteem. They don't. They love themselves. They think they're fantastic. They think they're superior. So what is a self-esteem? It's quiet. A real positive self-esteem is a quiet thing. We just feel comfortable in our own skin. We don't really have a reason, not because we're more intelligent, not because we're more attractive, not because we have more money. We just feel, for no particular reason, comfortable in our own skin. The narcissist has a story about their own superiority. They are definitely more intelligent, even if they have done poorly in the world. And you know why? Because they had a bad childhood. People didn't understand them. They were not given the opportunity for a superior education. So despite the fact that how they have performed or how they live in the world doesn't always meet that up there version of myself, there is always a story as to why not.
Is it to do with ego? Like if your self-esteem is within you and you quiet whatever, you're more authentic?
Yes. 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 So, well, I'm saying possibly nothing. So if we're talking about your real deal, personality disorder narcissist with delusions of grandeur, they will never be a nice human being. And I'm saying then you get characteristics, personality traits that fall within that. And I don't think that they're intractable. And I don't think that they're outside of the scope of help. I do think that they can be managed. So I'm saying we are in a difficult situation at the moment where every other person is being called a narcissist. Some of them are, and I believe a lot of them are not.
Can a narcissist not be a product of upbringing from over
No.
parent overcompensating? Wow.
No. So, no, interestingly enough. So narcissism seems to arrive during adolescence. So you do get what I call unhealthy parenting styles, where you instead of affirming your child, we all want our child to be affirmed. Instead of just affirming them and saying, "You look great. You've done really well. I'm very proud of this. You were very polite. You were very honest." They go, "You were better than so and so, who never does the right thing." Even with that parenting style, it doesn't breed proper narcissism. It should do. It breeds an unfortunate personality, but it doesn't breed all these symptoms, the delusions of grandeur, the lack of empathy. And I will tell you that the lack of empathy in a proper narcissist is extreme. I'm going to give you an example. I have a guy in my practice who is a narcissist, but the real deal. So they usually don't come for therapy, and they certainly don't stay. Anyway, he did because his girlfriend brought him, and after a long time, he had said for a long time, basically, you work too hard, you're unavailable to me in ways that I don't like, and she can't do anything else. She has a big job, she's very accomplished, she's running a very expensive ship here with kids overseas. She isn't at liberty to sell soap at the bazaar. She has to meet these requirements. Anyway, he eventually got fed up, broke up with her. She was devastated. He gets hold of me about 10 days later. He has a problem. So I think, okay, maybe he's rethinking his decision to get out of this relationship. No, that's not his problem. His problem is he has a jersey and 3 CDs, and he needs them back. Why do you need your jersey and your 3 CDs back? We have a person who is literally bleeding in pain. If you contact her, so I bring him in and I think, okay, let's see whether we can manage this. We go through the exercise of what do you imagine the other person feels? Now, most of us do that, believe it or not, instinctively. We just think, what would the other person feel? We don't consciously run this exercise, but now I go, okay, let's consciously run this exercise. What do you imagine she is going to feel if you contact her? Do you understand? What do you imagine? He has no idea, but he looks bewildered at the question. Bewildered that anyone should ask him that. He has no idea. So right, we give some help. She's either going to think, there's a moment in which she's going to think. She has hope. You've changed your mind. At the very least, she has an opportunity to tell you what a dog you are, and maybe you'll see the light. But she's going to feel a great deal. Can you not leave her in peace with your jersey and your 3 CDs? No. You know why? Because he bought that jersey in Paris. And he wants it back. And that's it. That's the end of it. He wants his jersey and his CDs. Now, most people, believe it or not, it wouldn't be hard. You would leave your jersey and your CDs. You would. I mean, I'm asking you, work that out. Would you leave your jersey and your CDs? Sure. Sure. Who needs to do this drama for a CD? I don't care where you got the friggin' jersey. It's your jersey. It doesn't matter. It's probably old. Who cares? It's my jersey, he tells me. When I say to him, what do you imagine she feels? I mean, you'll guess what this guy does. He says, it's called speculation. I don't know. Say, well, this is now not a court of law. This is my office. Speculate. How do you imagine she feels when you contact her? He has no idea. So, again, we are talking about an extreme of something. Is a narcissist. An unfortunate narcissistic type personality is not the same thing. And I'm saying to you, please be very wary of the fact that we are trending narcissism. Those people, those spoiled, boastful people can respond. They can change. Your proper personality disorder narcissist cannot. So how does the narcissist abuse you? Because remember, we're talking now about narcissistic abuse. They abuse you by being hypercritical. There's not a single thing. You know, people do things, they irritate us, we just leave it. They are hypercritical. Hypercritical. So in the myth of Narcissus, what happened is a woman called Echo fell in love with him. He was so mean to her, and she died. But she became an echo. There was nothing left of her. And that's what the narcissist does. They will wear you down and wear you down and wear you down with constant criticism of your friends, constant criticism of your family, constant denial of the validity of your needs. They wear you down. But somebody who is an unfortunate personality can be helped. The real proper narcissist cannot be. Badly brought up, boastful, arrogant people can be. And therein lies the difficulty, is what are we actually talking about? If we're talking about conflict resolution with a proper narcissist, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. They don't think you have a point, because you now have gone from being very intelligent to being very stupid. You're very, very stupid. You have no intuition. You have no creativity. These are the kind of things they will tell you.
Is projection a red flag?
What do you mean?
You are suffering from delusions. You are, instead of
Oh, they will never. They don't accuse anyone of delusions of grandeur. They're grand, and the rest of us are rubbish.
Do they accuse you of, if they're spending money, do they accuse you of spending money?
No.
So what?
So what they'll do is they feel entitled to spend whatever they like because they're important, and the rest of us must live on what's left over. So your narcissist will spend on himself. If he doesn't want to spend, for example, on a holiday, if he doesn't want to spend the money, he will accuse you of being uninteresting because you don't understand that what is really needed here is a road trip with little B&Bs along the way. You have no creativity and no imagination. You should never have asked for a cruise or an air ticket, ever. It's an indication of your lack of whatever comes with that. You're feeling attacked. That's right. That's what I'm saying. That's what they do. They will attack you like that.
What about gaslighting?
They do, yes. Okay, they're very good at it.
Almost like a projection.
Yes.
So if you have a criticism or you perceive them in a way that is contrary to who they are, you have the problem of
Oh, yes. So I was going to say, when it comes to management, what you never do with a proper narcissist is you never do a direct hit. You will never accuse them of being boastful because they will tear you apart. So if you want to manage a narcissist, you have to learn, there's that lovely saying, somebody keeps saying, I've bitten my lip until my mouth is full of blood. Bitten my tongue. Bite your tongue. Wait until another social event, and then you say, so-and-so was very boastful. It's an unattractive quality. Now understand that what the narcissist is seeking is applause. What he will cue in is boastfulness equals unattractive, therefore I won't do it. If you do a direct hit and say, you are embarrassing, our house has 3 bedrooms, not 6. Well, he'll annihilate you. His position is indefensible. You can all count the number of bedrooms. It's indefensible that he lied. He will accuse you of not understanding that socially a measure of exaggeration is perfectly acceptable. Everybody knows that except you, idiot. Don't go for a direct hit.
The questions when they asked him.
Sorry? Okay. Yes.
How does the narcissist present in a work situation?
Okay, so the question is, how does the narcissist present in a work situation? The same way. They can be made fearful. So the narcissist will be arrogant. They will be rude. They will demand attention. And they will believe that their solutions are better than anyone else's. If the team turns on the narcissist, they become fearful. And then the narcissist will love you again because he wants your help. So they are exactly the same. They are arrogant. They are opinionated. If more than one person goes for them, however, they do become afraid. And then they will go back to their partners and they will seek the love and tenderness that they know you once had for them. They're the same. And they're the same as parents. They're very moody. They're uncaring parents. They're very difficult parents. Because the demands of parenting, children don't clap for us. They just don't. They're not impressed by us. They expect it. Yeah. So being a parent is a very difficult thing. I'll come to you now. A very difficult thing for narcissists.
I think what's also very interesting with children is that they very often compete with children. And if they are not getting, I'm talking about men generalizing, but if the husband is the narcissist, the wife only cares about the children, does not care at all. And that's where a lot of abuse comes in.
That's right.
Time for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not the focus of your attention, they become very angry. Yes. There was another question here. Yeah. Yes.
Hi. If a person swears at you and calls you all names, and the next thing they love you and whatever, what is that?
Well, that's abuse. Okay, sorry. So the question was, if somebody is swearing at you, calling you names, and then 5 minutes later they love you again, what is that? Well, that is abuse. So name calling is one of the big characteristics of any abusive relationship, not necessarily narcissistic abuse, is that name calling and those constant, so the narcissist will, funnily enough, they're usually socially more skilled than that. So they don't usually do straight out name calling. It's usually an elaborate explanation of your stupidity. But abusers generally will swear, they will use volume to diminish someone, and often they will come back from that very lovingly. The narcissist is a bit different in that they don't usually have that very poor impulse control. Remember that these are socially adept animals. They are good socially. So they won't spew. They will explain how ridiculous you are in ways that you understand fully. They're not spewers. As I say, remember that the narcissist needs applause like the rest of us need air. These guys and women, say women, narcissists too, they're good socially.
So you believe in narcissistic supply?
Sorry?
You believe in narcissistic supply?
Yes.
And do they suffer from a sense of entitlement?
Yes, very much so. Part of their superiority, because they're superior, they're entitled to better than the rest of us. Absolutely.
Including inheritance?
Oh, yes, everything.
In terms of the narcissistic parent and living through their children, would a scenario play out where a parent would sit a child down and explain to them, you're not good enough because this, and that?
Yes.
Is that's what you're saying? And
Yes.
that's how it will manifest in a narcissistic home?
That and a complete disinterest, where the parenting is left almost exclusively to the other partner.
Yes.
So they will sit down and they will, because they're eloquent, they will explain to you in no uncertain terms the ways in which you are inadequate and inferior and disappointing. Failing which, they're just not there. They're not interested.
But would they project to the world that they are there, that they're the greatest parent?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So in a social situation, remember, they're good. So people are talking about parenting. They are absolutely on board with the struggles of parenting. What? They haven't struggled, absolutely.
And they just...
Oh, but they are participating fully in that conversation. You would have no idea of the massive vacancy. They are. They're very bright, very intelligent, even when they do badly. Very intelligent. They sometimes do. The schools are very inadequate in this country. Very.
Because they love themselves, are they well dressed and they take care about their appearance?
Yes. Because remember, what they want, what they need is an audience. And if they're not, then they are dismissive of people who are. They are too intelligent to resort to having to dress it up. So for the most part they are, but sometimes they're not. But they have an explanation as to why they're not. And it's because they're usually intellectually superior, and it's not necessary for them to, what they call, gift wrap themselves in Hyde Park.
Are they misogynists a lot of the time? Do you find that narcissistic?
The narcissist is always a misogynist.
Are misogynists?
Yeah. So they are. Essentially, they will always be abusive. They will always be dismissive. Women to men, so narcissistic women will be very dismissive of men. You want to hear how really low-class men are, ask a narcissistic woman. They know all of men. So yes, they are. They are always, because they don't really love. You see, the narcissist never goes from infatuation to love. Love requires us to forgive quietly. We recognize that people are less than, it doesn't matter. We love them anyway. Infatuation is what the narcissist has. They love you because you are perfection until you aren't. There's no forgiveness in them. And as their perfection, they deserve nothing less. So your lack of perfection is an insult to them.
You mentioned that they generally have control over what they say, and they don't just end up swearing and shouting like that. But what about narcissistic rage? What the concept of narcissistic rage?
Well, it's usually still very eloquent. So what I'm saying is abusive. In your standard issue abuse, there's lots of swearing, volume. It's a very ugly conversation. Whereas your narcissist is very capable of rage, but their rage is more eloquent. It's much more dismissive. To see someone lose control of themselves completely, you understand that they've lost control. The narcissist will rage, but very seldom with that same loss of control.
It does happen?
Yeah. It always happens in abusive relationships. Rage is part. Let's talk about conflict resolution and rage in an abusive relation, in any abusive relationship. Because one of the features in an abusive relationship is that there is no conflict resolution. So conflict resolution we have a problem. We have various options. We make a decision. We feel certain things about those options. We make a decision. We implement it. That's conflict resolution. I say what I think. You say what you think. I listen. We resolve it. With abusive relationships, there is no effective conflict resolution ever. In whatever way they do it. They either won't speak to you at all, they leave, they're great at abandoning the house, abandoning you. They're very toxic in their swearing, in the volume. All of this is part of abuse. But it's not necessarily narcissistic abuse. So abusive relationships they get like a 2 out of 10 for conflict resolution. You will almost never have effective conflict resolution in an abusive relationship. A narcissistically abusive relationship is a steady stream of eloquent criticism. And they cannot hear anything negative about themselves. So Talia asked me to speak to you about empowering yourself. What we need to do is, when we say, we need to understand narcissism, but more importantly, we need to survive these people. It's about how we cope. We can point a finger all day at someone and go, this is what they're doing. Now we say, what do we do? Sometimes we can leave. If you were to be involved with a proper personality disordered narcissist, the chances of having a good, intimate, supportive relationship on an ongoing basis is virtually nothing. Your chances of having somebody co-parent with you to support your struggle, nothing. Somebody to plan your financial future with, nothing. It's not going to happen. If you can, you might as well leave. But I want to tell you that most people can't just leave. We say that as if it's such an easy thing to do. Do you know that abusers are not better in a divorce than they are in a marriage? These are not gentlemen in a divorce. These are not people who are going to give you a square deal. These are animals of war. So if you're not in a position to leave and you don't have the resources, be very careful before you stalk out, because they will abuse you in a divorce no less than they'd abused you in a marriage. So what I'm saying is, be careful, prepare, don't be impulsive, have your ducks in a row. They are not better in a divorce than they are in a marriage. Your children are not necessarily going to, I promise you, they feel nothing to whip the carpet out from under your feet, including your kids. Sometimes you have to wait. You have to prepare. You have to be strategic. Yes. Well,
it's a combination of both.
Sorry, do you want to say that? No, okay. All right. So the question is I'm saying that the narcissist has a lack of empathy. And what Steady is saying is this cruelty calculated? I don't think it's calculated. I think it's a natural outcome for the narcissist in particular of believing that they deserve more than the rest of us. They are better. And if you think they aren't, they are furious with you. So unlike abusers, let's make a distinction between your narcissistic abuse and abuse. There is something very calculated about abuse, in that it runs to a format. They will destroy your self-esteem. They will destroy your support networks. They will destroy your friendships. They will destroy your relationship with your family. They will destroy you at work if they can. They will sexually destroy you. And they will financially exploit you. That's the profile they run to. And why is that? Why are they destroying all of those things? Because that's what helps us. If I have a good friendship group, it helps me. If I have a family who I can turn to, it helps me. If I'm financially sound, it helps me. Your abuser will standardly attack everything that supports your self-esteem. The narcissist does that accidentally. He is not really interested in your family outside of the fact that A, they are either very intelligent and therefore they get social tics, or you spend too much time with them and they don't like that. For the most part, the narcissist is not interested in anything except themselves. Your abuser, your general run-of-the-mill abuser, cannot leave your family intact. because they are a support to you. For the narcissist, there is no intention behind it. It simply reflects what they believe is their superiority. Your abusive relationship, they will, generally speaking, attack. And I don't believe that they do it consciously. So what they'll do is they will start to tell you how attractive they find your friends. Guess what? You don't want to see your friends after you've heard how much more attractive they are than you are. Or your friends are a bit scummy, and he's a bit disappointed that these are your friends because he expected better of you. That's your general abuse. They will undermine anything that helps you. The narcissist isn't that interested in you outside of your ability to clap for him. He doesn't care about your family or your friends. He doesn't care. So now I'm saying to you, what do you do if you can't leave? If you can leave, that's great. If you can't leave, you go back to what I'm telling you now. Make sure your friendships are intact. Make sure that these games around your friends don't work. Make sure that you stay in contact with your family. Make sure that you look after yourself. Eat, sleep. Take care of yourself, because they're not going to. They're not going to do any of those things for you. Sorry. Yes.
With regards to strengthening your social systems,
Yes.
a child doesn't really understand these concepts.
No.
How do we prepare children to be more aware that if an educator shows narcissistic tendencies or a relative, how they can be on guard? Because a child deserves unconditional love.
Okay, so the question is, how does the child manage narcissism either from a parent, an educator, or a family relative? Given that children don't know how to self-care, because that's what we're talking about. Well, we role model it to them. It's how we teach children everything. Children don't learn much from what we say. They learn a great deal from what we do. Never forget that. Children learn from what is done, not what is said. So the answer to your question is that they cannot self-care. So we need enough adults who are behaving differently. And at some point, the difficulty with a narcissist is if you do a direct hit, if you point a finger at them and say, you behaved badly, it's going to end badly. That's the confusing thing with children, is that somebody should call this person out on their behavior. But to call out the abuser or the narcissist always ends badly. That's why children are damaged by narcissists and by abusers, because we're in a no-win. You can't call them out on it, and if you do nothing, you've implied consent. It's confusing for them.
Then do they go into relationships where they are abusive?
Yeah, no. Yes and no. So they either role model abusive behavior, they think that it's normal, so your boys will role model your abusive behavior to their wives. And what happens with the girls is that they have such low expectations that that an abusive relationship doesn't send red flags for them. They're so used to it that it feels normal. So they're very much at risk under those circumstances, very much so.
How do we teach our teenagers or young adults who are dating how to pick up these red flags? Because every female, I'm going to speak specifically where it's male abusers, male narcissists. Every female, like they've read romantic novels, they've watched romantic movies, they've seen the way their friends might be treated by their spouses. They want to be felt like they're the one person in the world. And the
Sure.
specifically
Love bombs them.
absolutely.
They're so attractive. That's what I'm saying to
How
you.
do we teach those teenagers in a way so that when they are in that situation, because if you were to say directly to a girl who's dating a guy that guy is bad, she's going to find every excuse under the sun to say you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So you need to train them before they meet that person so that they can pick it up. So how do you do it? As a parent, as a friend, as a sister, how do you do it?
I don't know. I feel like there is almost no way, particularly, well, with abusers, they should red flag a straight, outright abuser. If you come from, it's not from a conversation. It's from what they've seen in their own homes. That's what red flags something, is if they never saw their father shout and swear at their mother. It's a shock to them. If they never saw anyone shoved around, it's a shock to them. You don't have to talk to them. It shocks them because it's not normal. It's what they don't understand. So what I'm saying is first of all, it's almost impossible to talk to a teenager about anything, in my opinion. It's like virtually a waste of time. It's got to be a shock because it's got to be what they're not used to. They've got to be, what just happened? And they will almost always not talk about that shock in the beginning. But there isn't a way to talk to them about it. They need to feel shocked. They need to feel shocked. That's why girls who are brought up in abusive homes are not shocked.
I've got one more question.
Sure.
Okay, so if the girl has now gotten married, gone to that next step, he has hidden himself, or she hasn't been shocked, or she didn't know how to deal with it while dating, and now it comes out. Because thank God not my personal experience, but in many of my peers' experiences, it happens after the marriage, because now they feel they're safe.
Now let me tell you, all of you, it never happens after the marriage. It's a lie. It's a lie. Every abused woman I have ever spoken to, and trust me, I have run support groups with abused women. I say, what was the moment before you got married? Every one of them knew. There was always an incident before they got married. It's not true. Your abuser does not have enough self-control to go all the way through that process to get married before they're seen for what they are. They don't have that kind of self-control. Sorry? No, the narcissist has much more self-control. Much more.
That's more dangerous.
Yeah. Your standard garden variety abuser will not get all the way to marriage without having been seen for what he is. It's not true. Unlike the narcissist.
Sorry, can you talk about manipulation?
Yes. Okay, so your narcissist is very manipulative. Remember that they're very exploitative. What they want is your praise. They want you to clap. Authenticity means nothing to them. So they will do, and they are, as I was saying up there, if you want to talk about parenting, they are all in with the struggle of parenting. They don't know what they're talking about. They've hardly been home. They're too tired. If you try and talk to them, our kids are struggling, you will hear, do you not understand how exhausted I am? Can you not see how exhausted I am? Do you think it is acceptable that I come home after working these hundreds of hours to this? But put them in a social situation. They're all in on the struggle and the torment. They're fantastic at it because they are essentially out to get a fan club. They're pretending to be intimate with you. They're pretending to be connected. They're pretending to understand how you feel. They're pretending to feel it too. But they don't. The narcissist is very tricky to catch in the beginning. The abuser is not.
Do they have friends?
Narcissist? No. No, because no one can sustainably like that.
So they don't have
No.
friends?
So they make a very good first few impressions, and then they get a tired day, and someone else is talking, and they do things like, "Do you know that I haven't said anything for 10 minutes?" And well, then it's all over. Now they know they've lost that fan club. They just don't go back. They don't have friends.
Not all narcissistic relationships are couples. I mean, there are narcissists in every sphere of life.
Yes. But they usually are couples because it doesn't suit them to be single. It's too difficult.
So they may be in a relationship, but I may come across one in another environment.
Yes.
By default.
Yes.
And be forced into the situation.
Yes.
The person that just says, "Look, you're not my kind." If I came across a narcissist, I would say, "Well, not my kind of person."
You wouldn't. You'd just actually avoid them. That's the point.
So they would just like treat you like trash and like, that's fine. I mean, I don't
Oh yeah,
think
if you're
you
not
like
clapping, then you're not classy enough for them. Yeah.
You need to clap to deal with them.
Yeah.
Or is
They
that-
need to sense your approval.
And then they all stay with
So
you.
if they sense, like this, what this is, they sense your disapproval, they'll move on.
Yeah.
See, it's not personal for them. They don't care. You say if you're not part of the fan club, they'll move on. It's not a personal thing for them.
Can two or more narcissists form a reciprocity of a fan club, where it's sort of like
No.
so they sort of
There's only enough space in this room for one of us, being this great. No.
And the reflection.
What's the difference between a narcissist and a psychopath?
Okay, there's a big difference because, so the question is, what is the difference between a narcissist and a psychopath? A psychopath has no moral compass whatsoever. They have no moral compass. A psychopath generally has no conscience. They're also exploitative, but they're not exploitative for approval. They want your money. They want your business deal. They're exploitative for more than your approval. So your narcissist, all he wants is for you to approve. The psychopath doesn't want that. He wants your business. He wants your money. He wants power. He wants secrets. He wants information. It's a whole different ballgame.
But a narcissist can be a psychopath.
Not really.
No. There's too much overlap.
Yeah. They're not, the narcissist is about self-love. It's about, if you love me and I love me, we're all happy. The psychopath, we're happy, we've got a full house here. The psychopath, that's not enough for them. They want your money. They want your secrets. They want information. They want, yeah. They want victims. That's a good word.
I think it's interesting as you're mentioning so many different kinds of personality types, disorders, abusers, narcissists, and the world's full of them and our lives are full of them, and we're all, I would imagine, I'm trying to find somebody that we can put into that particular box and label.
It's a scary world, is it not? Yeah.
So what tools, whether, no matter which box the person fits into, you spoke about taking away some tools to empower ourselves to be able to cope with, irrespective of which box they fit into, that we can be better in other relationships, that we can be better examples to our children, that we
Yes.
can help friends and family members that, God forbid, are going through that same thing.
Okay, so the question is, what are the tools? And as I said to you, the tools for me are support networks. So there's apparently a pamphlet here where there are resources are made available. If you need them, use them. Families are so important. Friends are so important. Your own well-being. Do you know that I had one client who, I got a phone call from a doctor, a GP, who said, I have a patient who I think is anorexic, except that she's 40. She doesn't fit in anywhere except that she won't eat. So she came to see me, and she's not anorexic. She's the wrong personality type, it's the wrong age, it's the wrong onset. She's married to a narcissist. She is starving emotionally. She wants him to see her pain. She wants to be seen. When I spoke to him, because I then saw her, then I saw him, and I said to him, have you noticed that your wife has lost an extraordinary amount of weight? He said, yes. I can see he hasn't noticed. Why do you imagine that is? He says, isn't that what all women are doing? You say, except that all women are not at the GP because they can't eat. He really did not notice, not cruelly. He simply didn't notice because it wasn't about him. So what does she need to do? She has to eat. You have to be well. You have to survive.
Can I say something? I think it's also important as a family or friend to somebody that you can see something like that is happening and they're deteriorating or whatever, to kind of, to not abandon them. Because it can be very difficult. They often choose the narcissist over their friends and family.
Yes.
So to kind of not take offense to that as well when you get pushed away, I think is really important. And then it kind of paying it forward.
I agree. I agree. So if you're part of the support network, be supportive. And understand that the narcissist and the abuser has messed with your relationship behind your back. They've damaged these relationships. You may not be aware of it, that they have. Be extra forgiving.
But always hovering in case the need arises.
Yeah. Be available to someone. But what I'm saying is, just in terms of self-empowerment, decide to survive. Decide that there is life beyond this person, whether it's this year, next year, the year after. I promise you, it sometimes takes years to leave these people. Don't be embarrassed. You don't have to be embarrassed about not being able to do it immediately. You'll do it when you can. Because I promise you, people have got a lot to say. But what I'm saying to you is, they are not better in a divorce than in a marriage. They can destroy you in a divorce like they can in a marriage. Be strong first before you start leaving. Yeah.
Thank you, Sue.
You're
that
welcome.
was incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was just so, I think all of us had a great evening. You educating us, but also with a little bit of humor. I think we really needed it as well, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you guys have any questions, Sue, can you stay for next
Yes, of
15
course.
minutes?
Sure, of course.
You guys can come out to Sue afterwards. And this is just a little present to say thank you from Jewish Community Services.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. So unnecessary, but thank you. Thank you so much. It's so kind of you. Thanks.
Thank you everyone for coming. It was awesome to have you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks everybody.